Good evening, everybody. Can we do a little bit of the clinking of glasses to get everybody's attention to start the evening? Thank you. Will the bride and groom kiss, please? Hi, everybody. Hey, Newport, how's everybody feeling on this Friday night? We'd like to dispel the fallacy that tennis people are stuffy and not enthusiastic. How is everybody doing, Newport, as we get back to life? That's more like it. We're so glad that you're here, and we're so glad that we could all be together. My name's Brett Haber from Tennis Channel, and let me be the 11th to welcome you officially to Hall of Fame Enshrinement Weekend for 2021. Aren't we glad to be back? It's truly one of the greatest honors of my career each year to be here to MC everything. I know we have a lot of friends to say hello to, but let's grab a seat and see if we can hone in on the proceedings. For those of you who've never been with us for Enshrinement Weekend before, I just want to make sure everybody understands. Tomorrow is the very august and official enshrinement ceremony out on center court with the presentations and the speeches and the awarding of medals and jackets. Tonight is a little bit less formal, a chance for us to renew old friendships with hair down a little bit, tell some jokes, and renew old acquaintances and celebrate this tennis family that we're all part of. I do want to encourage everyone who's here to make sure they visit the Hall of Fame Museum. How many have been inside? Show of hands. It is a remarkably special place that chronicles the history of our sport. Many interesting exhibits. In fact, there's one, I was in there earlier this week. Have you all seen the exhibit on the longest event in tennis history, which was, of course, the John Isner-Nico Mahut match from Wimbledon? You don't have to applaud that. We had wished they'd finished it sooner, but it's there. Please don't ever encourage anyone. We've got a tie break at 12-all now. It'll never happen again. But they do have exhibits like that. There's also an exhibit that you may not be aware of on the second longest event in tennis history, which, according to my notes, was Mary Pierce's acceptance speech here at the Hall of Fame 2 years ago. I didn't know that. I wasn't aware. Some of you who may, we can't, just take it easy. Take it easy. We love Mary. She's a great champion and a great Hall of Famer and a great ambassador. However, she did, and you'll see this tomorrow, she did inspire Todd Martin and Stan Smith to invest in lights for the ceremony. If we make it a twilight doubleheader again, by gum, we're prepared this time. It's a doubly special year for the Enshrinement Weekend, and that's because obviously we didn't have one last year, and so we get to celebrate all at the same time, the class of 2021 and last year's class of 2020, Goran Ivanisevic and Conchita Martinez. A round of applause. We'll get into more formal introductions in a moment. But since we haven't been together here as a family in 2 years, I thought I'd do a quick recap of some of what's happened in tennis since we last convened. Real quick, as you know, Ash Barty of Australia became the world number one, and 2 weeks ago won her first Wimbledon title. How about that? And did it, by the way, linking it to the Hall of Fame, did it on the 50th anniversary of her hero and Hall of Famer and Aussie compatriot Yvonne Goolagong, winning her 1971 Wimbledon title. Of course, Novak is still number one on the men's side. He just won his 6th Wimbledon title. Stands poised to be the first man since Rod Laver in 1969 to win the calendar Grand Slam, and could be the only one in history besides Stephanie Graf to win the Golden Slam if he can win the Olympics and the US Open. What else has happened? Roland Garros moved to the fall last year. US Open was played with no fans last year. Benoit Paire's beard was declared a national forest by the Park Service last year. Hawkeye Live has been introduced to replace linespeople at some tournaments around the world, or as it's known inside the official's office, the John McEnroe Player Complaint Elimination System. And the other thing, which since we chronicle history at the Hall of Fame, is this exceptional moment that we are in right now. As you know, with Novak winning his Wimbledon title a couple weeks ago, we now have a three-way tie for the historical most men's singles Grand Slam titles. It's a world of 20, 20, and 20. And obviously this is a night to speak about both genders in tennis, but I just want to touch on this for a minute because as we live in this amazing era and these three men are tied, it spurred this debate, in particular outside the traditional tennis world, of who the, pardon the expression, GOAT is, G-O-A-T, greatest of all time. And I'm here tonight to encourage all of us who are fans of tennis and supporters of tennis to cut it out. It's a fool's errand, because not only will we not be able to compare these three men until they're done playing, it is impossible for us to compare these three great champions to the eras that preceded them, many of those great champions under this tent tonight. They played with different technology in a different era, on different courts, and there is absolutely no way. So I simply suggest, as we raise an opening toast for the night, that instead of debating who the GOAT is, we celebrate this era of golden tennis and all the eras that came before that made it possible. Let's toast to our beloved sport. And besides, Stan keeps telling me he's the GOAT and that we should cut out asking. All right, speaking of all the legends that are here, we do this every year at the Legends Dinner. We want to introduce the Hall of Famers that have returned to Newport. And those of you who are being enshrined this weekend, please know that this is now your home away from home. You are welcome to return forever, and you will be welcomed as family when you come back. Let's start with the man himself, a Wimbledon champion, a US Open champion, a world number one. For your children, he is a shoe. For the rest of us, he is a legend, the president of the International Tennis Hall of Fame. Get out of here, Stanley. Stan Smith. Is Donald here yet, Stan? Because I'm going to go out of order. If he is the great American champion, Davis Cup player and captain. I'm going out of order, but it makes sense to put Donald right after Stan because Donald's the guy that got the deal that to this day makes sure that Stan gets $3 every time you buy a pair of those shoes. The innovator of sports business in the agent world, a great player and captain and American star, Donald Dell. Stan wants to know if it's $3 a pair, how come he's only getting 50 cents? Are you pocketing the rest, Donald? Yes, okay, that was a rhetorical question. We knew the answer to that. A man who has been in service to this sport all of his life, a top American player, star at UCLA, Davis Cup champion, and then went on to be one of the game's top promoters, co-founder of the National Junior Tennis and Learning Network, and now vice chairman of the International Tennis Hall of Fame, our great friend Charlie Passerelle. If you are a tennis fan and have followed this sport in print and in other media, chances are you've read or listened to his work, an expert tennis historian, eloquent storyteller, and journalist, Hall of Famer Steve Flink. I've known this woman for quite a long time, but I learned tonight something new, that had she not been a great tennis champion and Hall of Famer, she might have been a volleyball Hall of Famer. Apparently, she was quite a standout in her younger days. It turns out we're glad she picked tennis because she won 17 Grand Slam titles and not one but 2 Olympic gold medals. Ladies and gentlemen, Gigi Fernandez. Two women now who are making history this weekend, the first 2 women to be inducted into the Hall of Fame in the player category and now into the contributor category as well. They will be inducted alongside their peers in the original 9, originally from the class of 1996. She was inducted first for her outstanding on-court career, including more than 90 tournament titles, 12 major titles in doubles and mixed, plus ranked in the world top 3 in singles, our great friend Rosie Casals. And boy, The term legend gets thrown around maybe a little too liberally out there. This woman is a legend among legends, not just in sport, but in global culture. World number one, 39 major titles, 39 major titles. We celebrate her so much for what she's done outside the lines. Let's remind ourselves of what she did inside the lines. 39 major titles, a trailblazer, a leader, an inspiration, and an honor to have her back at the Hall of Fame, the great Billie Jean King. Well, I've got goosebumps. Billie gets, in fairness, Billie gets one of those wherever she goes, deservedly so. But it occurs to me that here, maybe a couple other places, maybe Wimbledon last week when you were in the Royal Box with Alana and some of your other friends, but there and here, we hope that you feel like this is your home and the place that you helped build. It's very special to have Billie here this week. Let us also honor her 7 colleagues who are here to join her in the contributor category. As part of the original 9, we're going to list them in a group, and you can applaud for them, but then we'll talk about them individually a little bit later. Can we hear it for Peaches Bartkowitz, Julie Heldman, Christy Pigeon, Carrie Reed, Valerie Ziegenfuss. The original 9 of women's pro tennis. If you're counting, my math probably seems like it's off. That's only 7. We do want to honor the 2 members of the original 9 who could not be with us this weekend. Can we also have a round of applause for Judy Teagart Dalton and Nancy Ritchie? Hey, we haven't done this for 2 years. It's a little bit of a list, so hang on. Feel free to, eat. Also being inducted for his immense contributions to the sport this year tonight, we remember and celebrate the late Dennis Vandermeer, represented here tonight by his wife, Pat, and many friends and family members. We welcome the Vandermeer family. And finally, we had to wait an extra year, and so we hope that it was worth the wait for both of you. We know it certainly will be for us. We honor the class of 2020, whose enshrinement has been postponed by these horrible circumstances. How about it? And let's let them hear it because it's been a year in the waiting. Conchita Martinez and Goran Ivanisevic. Stand up, you guys. Come on, Goran. That was for the good Goran. Now for the bad Goran. No, that's later. That's at the bar later. Couple other quick notes. You may know that the great Leighton Hewitt, former world number 1 and Grand Slam champion, was to be honored as part of the class of 2021, and he will be, but because of the travel restrictions in and out of Australia, he was unable to make it, and so we will celebrate Leighton next year in the summer of 2022, but let's hear it for Leighton in absentia, who's been a big supporter of the tournament here in Newport. This wonderful Hall of Fame enshrinement weekend is made possible through the great support of many of the individuals in this room, many of the businesses that are passionate about the sport and all that tennis represents. And the International Tennis Hall of Fame wishes to thank its presenting sponsor. And I need to say that not only does the International Tennis Hall of Fame benefit from their largesse, but the entire sport of tennis would not be the same at this moment without their ongoing support. Would you please join me in thanking BNP Paribas, our good friends. Additionally, making this evening's celebration special, the Hall of Fame would like to acknowledge the Ritz-Carlton, which have added a special touch to the evening by providing inspiration for tonight's menu. Are you enjoying the food so far? It's Ritz-Carlton inspired. This is Marble House and Ritz-Carlton. This is not your mom's rubber chicken dinner. This is first rate. The Hall of Fame doesn't mess around. And finally, before we turn it over, we would like to extend gratitude on behalf of the International Tennis Hall of Fame to three dedicated individuals who have been co-chairs of this event and, in a couple of cases, heads of the Hall of Fame. Would you please join me in thanking and welcoming home our most ardent supporters, John and Jody Arnhold, Wendy Holcomb and Carl Kawaja. Wendy and Carl. And Andrea and Eric Lischer. Andrea and Eric, thank you. All right, that's the starting lineups. Let's play ball. I'd like to turn it over to the International Tennis Hall of Fame chairman of the board. Let's hear it from Mike Goss, everybody.
Had I known that he was going to be so entertaining and I was going to be so boring, I would have gone first. But Brett, actually, he is not going to tell you this himself, but Brett, congratulations. He was just married, as I understand. The rest of us during the pandemic felt pretty good if we got a new fire pit, maybe a new pet. He actually got married to a wonderful woman, a woman named Kim. We've known her. She's been here many times before, and I think it's safe to say that Brett did pretty well for himself during the pandemic. But before this night is over, I think everybody should just take a moment to celebrate what we have here. Take it in and savor it. You know, part of our mission here at the International Tennis Hall of Fame is to preserve our history. But I can't help but look out at tonight's crowd and think about the events of the past 12 to 18 months and conclude that we're actually making some history ourselves here tonight. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go to the museum and look at the exhibit called When the Tennis Stopped. It's a very fascinating, real-time examination of the masks and quarantines and bubbles and player restrictions and fan restrictions that defined our sport over the last 12 to 18 months. And if I have anything to do with it, I hope that in the next 12 to 18 months there will be a picture of this tent in that exhibit showing all of the happy fans that are glad to be back and socially active again. I can feel the energy that everyone has here. So thanks for being here. You are being part of history. I also have people to thank. First and foremost, I want to thank all of the healthcare workers and public health officials who have been battling this pandemic and made sure that they did their job so that we could all celebrate here tonight. So thank you to them. You know, I would also like to thank the management and the staff at the International Tennis Hall of Fame. These past 18 months have not been easy for anyone. It's been particularly hard for an organization that thrives on live events, travel, tourism, museums, a 501c3. It's been really tough going, and our team has battled it head on with wit and hard work and determination and creativity. And if you are a member of the staff of the Hall of Fame, they're probably all at the site working, but for those of you who are here, please stand and be recognized. I assure you, you really have no idea the issues that these people have had to face and stare down in the face of the pandemic, and still wanting to deliver a great product for us here tonight. It's been amazing. Third, I'd like to thank our Board of Governors who did their jobs as well. They lent their leadership and their wisdom, not to mention their time and treasure, to guide us through a very difficult period. They were remarkable, and I can tell you as their chairman, I cannot imagine an easier group to lead than our Board of Governors. If you can please stand and be recognized. And like Brett, I would like to thank our corporate sponsors who stuck with us through all of this. As you enjoy the weekend, please pay attention to who they are and reward their loyalty to the International Tennis Hall of Fame with your business. But tonight's dinner is presented by BNP Paribas, which, as all of us know, is one of the most dedicated sponsors of tennis globally, and we are honored to be part of their lineup of seminal events that they sponsor alongside Roland Garros and Indian Wells. The list goes on. We're also pleased that we have the personal support of Jean-Yves Fillion, the CEO of BNP Paribas USA. Jean-Yves is a very valuable member of our Board of Governors as well, and not only provides sponsorship to BNP Paribas, he also is a very trusted counselor to all of us here at the International Tennis Hall of Fame. And so without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Jean-Yves to the stage.
Thank you. It is very intimidating to speak after Brett and to speak after Mike, but I'm going to try to do my very, very best, I promise. Maybe as a starting comment, I would say it is so wonderful to finally be back together here in Newport to celebrate our great sport of tennis. Let me start by thanking you, Mike, and your team for organizing such a terrific weekend. I look forward to this event every year, and it is so good to join you in person to congratulate our inductees. I might, thank you. I must also credit Stan and Todd. Together, Mike, Stan, and Todd have made this facility a must-see destination for tennis fans around the world. It's a living celebration of the history of the sport, and it continues to get better each year. I have to say, BNP Paribas is a proud supporter of the Hall of Fame as part of our commitment to growing the game of tennis worldwide. But when we think of the Hall of Fame, the first impression might be to honor the past, as we do tonight. But what makes this Hall of Fame special is that it is always looking forward and investing in the present and future of tennis. BNP Paribas, I believe, is doing the same in our role as a leading sponsor. We do so because the sport closely aligns to our core values. It crosses countries and cultures and provides players of all backgrounds, by the way, with the opportunity to succeed. And as a bank committed to having a strong local presence around the world, tennis also gives us another way to make a difference in our local communities. In New York, we help Billie Jean. We help City Parks Tennis provide free instruction to thousands of kids ages 6 to 17 across the 5 boroughs. We sponsor Team BNP Paribas Mach 1 with Patrick and John McEnroe, where we provide young tennis players an equal opportunity to become the next generation of champions. These complement many of our youth initiatives around the world, partnering with Yannick Noah, Joe Wilfred Songa, and others. The 2020 and 2021 inductees reflect the international appeal of the game. Tennis greats Goran and Conchita, who have had to wait an extra year for this honor. I think it was really worthwhile. The late, great Dennis, whose innovative approach was so influential to the sport, and the original 9 true trailblazers who paved the way for women's professional tennis 50 years ago. Your courage transformed tennis and built the foundation of the WTA we know and we appreciate so much. Today, the largest annual international team competition in women's sport is the Billie Jean King Cup by BNP Paribas. And Billie Jean, we would not be more proud to sponsor that event and to honor you tonight along with your 8 co-pioneers who took a stand against inequity. Then, congratulations to Goran, Conchita, Dennis, and the original 9 for receiving this honor. You are all fantastic role models for players in your home countries and around the world, as well as to us as fans, supporters of tennis. This weekend, we celebrate you as you deservedly enter the Hall of Fame. Then thank you all for being here tonight together once again, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Jean-Yves, thanks very much. There's been no better friend of the Hall of Fame and to tennis in general than BNP Paribas. Jean-Yves, in particular. We're going to move to dinner shortly, so I know it's like the Oscars. We don't want the band to play us off, and we want to keep you interested. So let's start by paying tribute to one of the people we're here to celebrate tonight. It's just every 4 years now, you may not be aware of that the induction rules have changed. It's just every 4 years now that the International Tennis Hall of Fame presents tennis's ultimate honor to contributors of the sport. Every year, players are honored, but every 4 years, contributors are. The Hall of Famers honored in this category are defined by the Enshrinement criteria as true pioneers, visionary leaders, or individuals and groups who have made a transcendent impact on the sport. This weekend, we honor 2 incoming Hall of Famers who thoroughly embody that description. The original 9 of women's tennis and legendary coach and teacher, the late Dennis van der Meer. Dennis, as you know, passed away in 2019, and he's represented here this weekend by his wife, Pat, and a group of friends and family. We've welcomed them here, and now we'd like to take a look at the life and legacy of Hall of Famer Dennis van der Meer, a remarkable contributor to our sport.
Dennis was a tennis magnet. He drew everyone to him. He shows up with this red Adidas tracksuit and this characteristic whistle around his neck and his hat. And the way he walked, the way he carried himself, his accent, you immediately began to wonder, there's something magical about this guy. And he could connect with anyone at any age, young, old, professional.
Dennis deserves to be in the International Tennis Hall of Fame so much. He's a great guy, a great coach, a great teacher. And what makes a great coach is a great teacher, and that's what he was. He actually standardized a way of teaching, so he'd help teaching pros and coaches how to teach better.
Dennis believed you could become an expert by following some very simple, tried and true methods that are not beyond anyone. One of the things that really I admired so much about Dennis was that he was a forever learner. He was curious about everything that related to tennis. He kept saying, never stop learning. And when he began to realize that what tennis could do in people's lives, regardless of race, color, creed, whatever it is, it's transformative. Tennis was as close to Dennis's heart as almost anything could be, and that Dennis was tennis.
Well, I'm sure Dennis is looking down today and this weekend and smiling, and it's really wonderful that Pat, his widow, is here, and that she was such a huge part also of the reason he's inducted. So he's a great teacher and a great friend, especially to the sport of tennis.
Would Dennis's family and friends please rise as we welcome the late Dennis Vandermeer to the International Tennis Hall of Fame. Believe it or not, we are 3 minutes ahead of schedule. Please enjoy your dinner. We'll celebrate the rest of our incoming Hall of Famers afterwards. Thank you. Okay, everybody, how's dessert coming along, okay? Can we do the clinking on the glass thing again just to get everybody's attention? Thank you so much. Those clinks sound very hollow, as if your wine glasses are empty. Waiters and waitresses, can we refill everybody's glass? We have things to celebrate tonight. We just made the servers' jobs harder. Can we have your attention, please? It's time to start honoring our enshrinees for the weekend. Thank you so much. Dessert is on the way. Please feel free to keep eating as we honor everybody, but can we ask for your attention over on this side of the tent? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Don't make me send Charlie Passarell over there. He's a tough one. We're kidding. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow, two great champions will take their place in the International Tennis Hall of Fame. Albeit a year removed from the original date, tonight, on the eve of their great honor, we have the privilege of the tradition of chatting with the incoming Hall of Famers, and we are going to start with the female member of the class of 2020. She is a Spanish, hang on, got to get the whole program out. You know her credentials, though, a Spanish tennis legend, a Wimbledon champion, who says that she's loved tennis since she was a child, and years after retirement from her Hall of Fame playing career, she has gone on to thrive in the sport in numerous other roles, currently as coach to top WTA player Garbiñe Muguruza. Won't you welcome to the stage and to the Hall of Fame, Conchita Martinez. Hello, 1, 2, hello. Is this thing? Oh, there we go. Okay. So just to clarify, Conchita, it used to be that on the Friday night dinner, we had the Hall of Famers come up and make a speech. And then some of you may remember Andre Agassi's induction. Well, we don't let the Friday night dinner speeches happen anymore. So now we just do an interview. Not that you would do anything like what Andre did, but it was memorable. So let me start, if I can, Conchita, by asking you about Wimbledon, because we've just finished the fortnight. That was obviously the moment of your biggest Grand Slam triumph. I wonder what your memories are, because in particular, you were, if I'm not mistaken, 22 at the time of your triumph. You were playing. Does everybody remember who her opponent in the final was? Martina Navratilova, who was obviously already a legend, had won Wimbledon 9 times. What was your thought as you walked onto center court for that day, playing a woman who was already a legend at the age of 22 yourself?
Is this working? Yes.
Yeah, louder for Conchita.
Good evening. So, I mean, it was an amazing year for me. I played semifinal the year before, so finally I got to play a little bit better on grass, and playing Martina, who, you know, she was my idol as I was growing up. It was an amazing feeling. She was going for her 10th title, so she probably doesn't like me very much, maybe now a little bit better. But, you know, it was amazing to go out there and play against such a great champion, and finally getting the title. It was the highlight of my career, for sure.
For sure, and others might point to your Olympic record as being one of the highlights of your career. For those of you who don't know, 3 Olympic medals at 3 different Olympic Games, starting in Barcelona in 1992, ending in Athens in 2004. How about that? Where does that fall on the list of things that you cherish in your career? And how do you, as we get ready for the Olympics just a week from today, do you think that the Olympics are something that tennis players should prioritize? Because we've seen this year, obviously, some extenuating circumstances in Tokyo, but a number of players have passed. How important were they to you?
I mean, they were very important, not only because they're the Olympics, but you get to represent your country. And, you know, I played many Olympics. I played Fed Cup for many years. And for me, it was, I like to prioritize it because I enjoy so much to represent my country and to do well. So, I mean, it was great fun to play the Olympics. I'm actually leaving on Monday for another Olympics as a coach now. So this is gonna, I think it's gonna, which they're gonna be a little bit different, you know, because this COVID is making things very difficult these days. We're actually going to be in a bubble, and there's not going to be crowds, but, you know, there's still going to be the Olympics, and, you know, I think they're going to be very enjoyable.
So you bring up COVID, and before I let you go, I have to bring up how creative you were as a coach earlier this year. Conchita was, and it's public knowledge, so I don't think you'll mind my saying that you
okay.
had and recovered from COVID, but it took place during a time when your what do we say, your client, your pupil, Garbiñe Muguruza, was in the middle of playing the beginning of the year. I think it was during that Dubai Doha swing in February where you were in quarantine and she was continuing to play. For those who didn't see it, because it was truly one of the most creative things I've ever seen, please explain to everybody how you continued to coach Garbiñe even though you were locked in a hotel room.
Yeah, it was a tough moment, actually. I mean, I flew to Doha with a negative test, and I flew there and I had 2 other tests, and I got the call, and that was not a cool call. You know, it was like, okay, you're positive, and it was a difficult time. But, you know, you have to be creative. As you said, Garbiñe was playing Doha and Dubai. I was locked down in Doha for the whole 2 weeks, 15 days, and the physio was there. So, you know, I would watch her practices through the iPhone, and you know, I would coach, and so the physio had the earphone. So she's like, okay, come on. She's looking at me. What do I tell her now? I'm like, okay, tell her to move her legs or hit in front of her or something, you know? I'm like, stop it. I'm not going to say everything. Every single point. But yeah, that's the way we did it every single match. She made a final in Doha. She won the tournament in Dubai. So maybe I should stay home and do it from there.
It truly... Yeah, if you haven't seen it, there's video of it on YouTube, and just to give you an additional visual, if it was during a match, they would have Conchita on the phone, like on a tripod in the player box in a chair as if she was sitting there, and then at practice, they would have her at the back of the court, you know, where the coaches stand, on a little and there she would be, coaching through the It was the most amazing thing. She is creative, she is ingenious, she is a champion, she is an Olympic medalist, and she is a Hall of Famer. Conchita, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Conchita Martinez, everybody. Okay. We have a feeling this might be the entertaining portion of the evening, although that was pretty darn entertaining. The next member of the class of 2020, I'm told he's one man. The rumor is he's three. The Wimbledon champion, would you please welcome from Split, Croatia, Goran Ivanisevic. Goran, congratulations. Welcome. I know it's a year late. Are you happy to be here?
Yeah.
Make it louder for Goran.
Is this working?
This
Yeah.
is working.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, finally we are here.
Right?
And I'm very happy, excited.
We're excited too. So let me start with a Wimbledon question for you because I started with a Wimbledon question for Conchita. It was a little bit of a different situation. She won her Wimbledon when she was 22. For you, you were almost 30. You had been to the final 3 times before, I think losing 2 to Pete, 1 to Andre. And there you were in the final against Patrick Rafter. I imagine wondering if this would be the last chance. What were your thoughts as you walked onto center court that day?
My thoughts, just, after losing 3 times in the final, especially that one against Andre that I should not lose, but, and then the one with the Pat that I don't know how I get to the final because it's really, with my career, everything is different and crazy, so and that final was probably the best atmosphere ever in the history of Wimbledon because luckily Wimbledon was so cheap that it didn't have a roof yet. And actually that saved me a lot because if we had a roof, I would lose to Henman that semi-final. So, and they gave me wild card. So there was unbelievable atmosphere. Monday final, 2 good friends playing, and I don't know actually how I won it. It's still after 20 years. This year was 20 years of that victory. I have no idea how I won.
Goran, have you seen video of your serve?
Yes, but now because we are all locked in bubbles, so I had a chance to watch my last game. And that last game is probably the worst last game in every Wimbledon finals. We looked like 2 guys, 2 friends, renting 2 rackets, going on the public court and playing a game of tennis. Me hoping to put a serve in the court, him hoping to return. So after the 3rd match points, I had a little talk with 3 Gorans, and I said, guys, you are probably one of the best servers in the game. I served 230 aces that 2 weeks. I don't need to serve ace. I just need to put the ball in that little square. If I manage to put the ball there, maybe he will miss. And that happened, I just somehow, I don't know how I put the serve in after 3 double faults, 2 double faults, so he did the net. And that was it.
So I have a question, since you brought it up. When you pose a question like that to all 3 Gorans, how do you know which one's going to answer?
Yeah, that's, I can't explain you that. That was a very quick meeting, That was like, I went to take a towel. I see all the faces, and, now we have to decide who will serve, who will put the ball over the net. It's very simple, but in that moment, nothing was simple for me.
Well, which one cashes the check?
Me.
Yeah.
I'm the boss.
Yeah, that was a setup line. So those who remember, it was truly one of the biggest moments in Croatian sporting history. I think I remember the video of the celebration in Split in the harbor. I think it was 250,000 people. Help my memory, was there something wrong with your pants that day?
Actually, I had a little striptease in front of
That's
250,000
what I'm
people.
referring
you know?
to. Yes, yeah.
I took some clothes, not all of them, but I started. But then I say, okay, a lot of people here, so I better stop it.
So you stopped short
stopped,
of.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Good. All right.
I control myself.
We
Sometimes.
could go on with the Three Gorons Comedy Hour really all night. But let me just ask one sort of, I don't know if this is serious or not, but another thing that you have in common with Conchita is that in your post-playing career, you have coached, and you're obviously part of Team Djokovic. And I just wonder, as someone who has been to the top of the mountain in this sport, getting to watch what he's doing from your vantage point and being part of what has helped him achieve what he's achieved, what impresses you the most about this man that you're helping maximize his greatness right now? What is it?
But first of all, I will start with three of them. They help each other to become better tennis players.
Really?
I mean, Nadal, Federer, and
I thought you were talking
Novak.
about the Three Gorons.
No, three Gorans. It's only one coach. It's enough, you know. They won 60 Grand Slams together. They made tennis better sport. Novak is a person who wants to learn every day. He wants to be better every day. He pushes us to be better, to learn more. It's not easy to coach him. I need heavy tablets sometimes, you know. But they're working, I have to tell you, they're working. They helped me a lot the last 70 days in London. But he is amazing. He can make, he's already writing a history. He's in US Open very close. His first time ever, he won 3 in a row in the same year. He's going for the Olympic, he's going for US Open. He is, for me, was always only player who can do it because he's the most complete tennis player in the world. I don't know, everybody likes somebody else, but for me, he's the biggest one, and he's an amazing guy. He's just, I think he's going to do it.
Well, whatever happens, we're going to have a good time watching it. Goran, this is a better sport with you in it. We are beyond happy for you to join the ranks of Hall of Famers. Thanks for sharing your memories and your humor. Ladies and gentlemen, Goran Ivanisevic. Told you. All right, so having heard from those two members of the class of 2020, we want to just pivot really quickly before we get into the original 9. This place is such a remarkable repository of tennis history. To be able to chronicle the game and celebrate its legends is the mission of the Hall of Fame, but obviously it doesn't come for free. Your support and the support of our sponsors that we mentioned earlier is what allows us to put on these remarkable programs and spread the word of tennis around the world. And so we want to raise a little money right now and we're going to, I know a lot of these things, the auctions go on forever. One auction item and that's it, okay? This is going to move right along, and it is a priceless auction item. We sometimes auction off hits, and that's fun with champions. What we decided to do is that since the 2 Hall of Famers that we're inducting that you just heard from, Conchita and Goran, in addition to being amazing players, are coaches of top players right now, Conchita of Garbina and Goran of Novak. We would like to auction off a coaching session from both of them. 1 hour, and we can split it up however you want. Our initial suggestion is half an hour each, back to back, in whichever order you choose, for these 2 great champions, Hall of Famers, and coaches of current legends to help you maximize your talent on center court at the Hall of Fame tomorrow, before the semifinals and before the induction ceremonies. Now think about this, okay? It is an absolutely priceless opportunity to not just be in their presence, but to have them assume the position that they assume with Novak and Garbina, right? I mean, how do they coach? They stand at the back of the court with the racket up against their bodies so you can see the stencil, so the sponsor logo is present, and they whisper into the ear comments and thoughts and swing thoughts and advice and I don't know what, because I've never been coached by a legend by this, but you have an opportunity from these 2 Hall of Famers on the day that they are being inducted, coaches of, in one case, the current world number 1, in this case, the former and perhaps future world number one, to have them coach you for an hour. Imagine the benefit that could do to your game. This is an absolutely priceless item. You can't buy it anywhere. And we will start the, yes, Todd? You're calling me. You're calling me? Hold on. Todd, would you like to just stand up and tell me what you wanted to tell me? Sunday, not tomorrow. Sunday. Now, can I just point out that this is what's wrong with the world? This is why we don't have friends anymore. This is why my kids don't talk to me, because Todd and I are 25 feet apart and he's calling me on the phone. Todd, we know each other. We can talk. All right, Sunday is the point, and it's before the final, after the induction ceremony. You get the point. We'll do it at the time that is convenient for you and for them, and you get the idea. I will start the bidding for this price. Did I sell it right, Todd, aside from getting the wrong day? Don't answer that. We'll start the bidding at $5,000. $5,000 for a coaching session, one-on-one, side-by-side. There's $5,000. Do I hear 6? Do I hear 6? 6. Do I hear 7? 7. Do I hear 8 for the coaching set? Billy says 8. Do I hear 9? You should do the coaching, not get the coaching. 8. There's 9 right there. I have 9. Do I hear 10? There's 10. Do I hear 11 for the priceless double Hall of Famer coaching session? I have 10. There's 11. Do I hear 12,000? There's 12. Do I hear 13,000? Looking for 13,000 for the Goran and Conchita coaching session. I have 12,000. Side by side, if you want to work on your net game, might I suggest Conchita'd be a pretty good candidate. Maybe Goran could help you with his serve if you're a lefty. That's 13. Looking for 14. Looking for, sorry, yoo-hoo, 14,000 over there. Do I hear 15? Looking for 15. 15. Looking for 16 for the coaching session Sunday morning. And in fact, it's really a 4, because it's good Goran, bad Goran, and crazy Goran, and Conchita. Are there any other Conchitas that we're not aware of? What is it? Is it Loco Conchita? Is there one? There is. We've never met Loco Conchita. Very interesting. This could be new ground. So good Goran, bad Goran, crazy Goran, Conchita, and Loco Conchita coaching you Sunday morning, center court, on the grass, holding their rackets. 16 there, looking for 17 now. 17, looking for 18. I have 17. You're outbidding yourself, sir. I love it. 18. Do I have 19? Or do you want to go again? 18, was that 18? We could just you and me, we can just go one-on-one. Anybody, there's 18, how about 19? Who are you point? Ma'am, just a word of advice, if you point during an auction. 18, we're not there yet, but hang on a second. 18, you're 19. There's 2 people I can't see over there. Is that Mr. Arnhold over there? 19, do I hear 20? Do I hear 20? Do I hear 20? I'm at 19. You go 20? 20. Do I hear 21? How about this? How about this? 20 is a good number. We'll each do 20 if we have Goran and Conchita do it twice. 40,000. Now wait. Hang on a second. She's got to go to the Olympics. I can't do it 3 times. She's got a flight. Now I say that having not asked Goran and Conchita if they will do this. So Goran, if you send good Goran and bad Goran to the first one, you could just send crazy Goran to the second one, and I think you're straight. Okay, Conchita, are you agreeable? We didn't check with you. Somebody checked with you? Maybe? I don't know. No? Would you do it if we, 2 for 40 grand for the Hall of Fame? Just to keep, yeah? Conchita says yes. Goran says yes. You guys both sold and sold. How about a round of applause for these 2? You guys, now just really quick before I move on, how would you feel about everybody here in the room watching you have your coaching session? You're not in favor of that. Okay, so we don't care. So I guess what we'll have the Hall of Fame Twitter account will tweet out what time this is going to happen on Sunday morning, and then anybody who wants to come out and cheer for our 2 subjects as they get coached by all the many Gorans and Conchitas, you'll be welcome to come out and watch. That sound like a deal? Okay, good. Way to go. All right, let's move on. Thank you. 1 item. Wow. All right, that leaves us one more inductee from this evening. Please give us your attention if we could. Thank you. I could listen to that conversation all night. So this is one more inductee, but as you know, this is truly 9 women, 9 brave women who paved the way not only for women's pro tennis, but truly for women's sports in general and in the larger picture, women's rights and equality across the board. Think about it. The Hall of Famers we've celebrated here year after year, Steffi Graf, Monica Seles, Chris Evert, Martina Navratilova, and on, women who have lived extraordinary lives in tennis and beyond. The opportunities that they and so many others have thrived in on the WTA Tour can be traced back directly to the vision, commitment, and sacrifice of 9 brave women, 7 of whom are here tonight. Let's hear from them directly. Take a look at the video screens.
Hi, I'm Billie Jean King.
I'm Christy Pigeon.
I'm Valerie Ziegenfuss.
I'm Judy Tegat-Dolson.
I'm Rosie Casals.
Nancy Ritchie.
I'm Carrie Melville.
I'm Julie Heldman, and I'm proud to say that I am one of the original 9.
This was the start of the women's pro game.
I think there was more excitement than anything else. It was our chance to prove that we could get a circuit going of just women.
If I had to describe the original 9, it would be rebels.
I think one strong word for the original 9 would be trailblazers.
I'll say dedicated.
Commitment.
2 words, gutsy and indomitable.
Dynamic.
Brave, definitely brave.
We were believers, fearless believers.
You can go back to that day, September 23rd, 1970, when we did sign the $1 contract with Gladys Hellman. That is the birth of women's professional tennis, the way you know it today.
Ladies and gentlemen, the original 9 of women's tennis. Won't you welcome them to the stage and to the Hall of Fame? Okay, so this should be fun. We have 7 women and 3 microphones. Billy does not have one. Is this because we're sharing?
No, we're sharing.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw this out to the field.
We like to share.
Listen, you do like to share, and you've shared your sacrifice and your commitment and your foresight with all of sports over the last 50 years. Obviously, in retrospect, it seems such an obvious thing that women's tennis needed this professional tour. But when you guys did it, when you put the dollar in, it was hardly a guarantee that it was going to work. It was a brave move and one that risked, in many respects, your entire careers, your livelihoods, your position in the game. How nervous were you all as you took this leap into the unknown?
We didn't know what the heck we were doing.
Yes, we did.
I mean, we did, but at that time, we didn't know the scope of it. We didn't know, oh my gosh, 50 years later, it would be this fabulous. But back then, we kind of knew, and it was very risky.
We all knew we were taking a risk. We knew that the men who were running tennis wanted us to fail. And they kept threatening us. Suspension, said, oh, you can be amateurs, but women can't be pros. And we all stood up. We had my mother there, Gladys Heldman, and she ran the thing, and all of a sudden, it all worked because we all wanted to do it together. We knew what we were getting into. We knew it was scary, and we knew it was the only way to go.
The first event was in Houston, correct? 1970. Rosie, did you win? You won the first event in Houston, right? Am I right?
I did. I mean, it was set up that way that I should win.
Wait, no, that's not. It doesn't. No. Any members of the tennis integrity unit that are here tonight, please disregard those comments from Rosie.
Somehow, Julie had a bad shoulder. She had a bad knee. What else happened? Val, you did play well, but I think I beat you in the first round. No, I didn't play you, did I? Huh? No. See, we don't remember. It's been so long.
It's fine. Everybody remembers the losses.
It was a great tournament.
So what I wanted to ask was, I mean, this was the primitive days, the very beginning of what you guys were putting together. How are the amenities at the tournament? Because we think about how these players are treated. Was it pretty posh? Were the locker rooms well appointed?
I mean, the Houston Racket Club was one
of
the
that's true.
premier,
Yeah,
you know. And at that point, we were just transitioning into pro tennis and staying at hotels instead of housing, and so it was very different.
Billy, you guys mentioned. You said at the beginning, Billy. You guys want to chat amongst yourselves, Billy and Rosie?
You know what happens at this age is that we have all these different memories going on. We're trying to make sure that we're accurate. So that's what's going on up here.
Billy, never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Okay, here we go.
What I was going to ask is, when you came up, it was a joke about the microphones, but it had a thread of truth, which is that you shared. This was obviously a cooperative effort that the 9 of you were engaging in. You needed each other in order to succeed. You were there in some respects to support each other and make sure this thing worked. On the other hand, you also needed to maintain that competitive approach, and you needed to beat the pants off of each other week to week. How did you balance sort of the need to be supportive in this business endeavor, but at the same time remain adversarial and competitive against one another?
It's interesting to hear that question, because with guys, people just assume it's the old boy network. They can go out and kill each other on the court and then go to dinner. Sure. Well, it's the same for us. And we were like a team. And we try to obviously beat each other. But then where do you want to go to dinner was probably the most important question. So that's the way we were, because the way we're socialized is that girls don't get along. It's not true. So we really were a team. So. Anyway, Brett,
yes.
I didn't realize how funny you were, and I just want to thank you. You've done a great job tonight.
Billy, thank you. That's a high honor.
I had no idea you were so funny.
Well,
I knew you were funny, but not this funny.
Somebody is recording that, I hope. So here. We obviously, the Hall of Fame takes great pains to honor the contribution that you all have made, and we can't overstate it. When Ash Barty, for example, she's obviously a very respectful champion, and maybe not a good example. Do you feel that today's players, when they cash the Grand Slam champions check for $3 million, understand what you guys did 51 years ago that has facilitated and led both directly and indirectly to them getting that check? And are you angry that it wasn't $3 million then?
Who wants to answer this? No, we talked about the future generations. That's why we did it.
Do they know it? Do they get it, though? Do they understand?
Some do. Some are very good. And as each generation goes by, it probably fades more and more. But I think it's important that through the WTA that we teach each generation. The more you know about history, the more you know about yourself. But most importantly, it helps you shape the future. And that's why I want kids to know about history, because I love history. And I think a lot of us up here do, and I think that helped us come up with the vision and what we wanted for the future generations, because we knew the history, the women who came before us, the men who came before us, that we stood on their shoulders. And I talked to men. I mean, the men were contract pros. We never were asked until 1968. There's 4 of us. But in the past, through the 40s and the 50s and all that, and the 60s and the 70s, no, the 60s, then they were asked, the best men were always taken every year. They'd win Wimbledon, and then Jack Kramer would sign them. And every time, of course, Gladys, which is hilarious, who started this, who made this happen? She says, Jack Kramer, because he didn't believe in us. So that was pretty funny, actually. We thought it was funny, and it worked out all right. And I made amends with Jack in the 80s, and he had a granddaughter too. That changed everything. So anyway, it all worked out, but it was really a scary, lonely, tough, exhausting for all of us, each and every one of us. Each one of us. I mean, it was exhausting. And, and you didn't know what was going to happen, really, but you just kept your eye on the vision and focus every single day, every single moment on where we were going, and we just fought and fought and fought every day.
All right, so last thing before we let you sit down, and thank you all for sharing memories. Is there, maybe someone who hasn't spoken, is there, can you tell us something about that time, that year, that launch, that beginning, that maybe we didn't know that isn't in the many documentaries? Maybe a little inside dirt on Billy or on Rosie, or like a kind of a story that we haven't heard that isn't in the exhibit. Is that this? By the way, this is just between us chickens here. This is it.
I think the most annoying thing is how they won so much in the beginning. I mean, Billy and Rosie just kept winning the singles and the doubles, and we kept losing. It was not fun.
Can I just say, if anybody else parting thoughts, or should we go to dessert, or can I just, before you go?
No, we just want to thank, obviously, the Hall of Fame and the board of directors and everybody, and the staff. Anne-Marie, been great. You know, you've taken great care of us, made this extremely special for us, and we thank everybody who's come this evening. Wonderful. And you too, Brett, you're terrific.
Rosie, thank you. And can I just say on behalf of all of us, because everyone in this room is a fan of this sport, men, women, young, old, every single person that loves this sport and loves sport in general is forever indebted to the sacrifice and the foresight that you showed. Thank all of you, and welcome to the Hall of Fame.
On behalf of the 9 of us, we're going to give $9,000 to the International Tennis Hall of Fame. But we would like some of you out there match it either in 1 or 9 people give 1,000 or whatever. But that's what our contribution tonight in honor of ourselves, I guess. And also to Goran, congratulations to Conchita. Goran and Conchita, I don't know if, you talked about their coaching, but the way they were as players and now as coaches, amazing. And Conchita also has coached Davis Cup, which is for the men. So I'd like to particularly thank you. That a coach is a coach is a coach. And Goran, you've done a great job, and you're right about Djokovic. He is by far, he is the best. There's no weakness, there's nothing. And if you listen to his interview at Wimbledon, you know why he is so great. The guy he's a perfectionist. I love that about him. All right, but anyway, thank you.
Wow, that was just that was very special, and not to overstate it or put too fine a point on it, but those of us who travel around the world and follow this sport, we get to witness greatness a lot. That's kind of the nature of our job. We've witnessed some pretty remarkable and uncommon greatness on this stage tonight. I hope you have appreciated it as much as I have. It's been amazing. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts. We're going to wrap, but before we do, enjoy your dessert. Has everybody had dessert? Is it finished? Did we go so long the dessert's done? Should we skip right to the closing remarks, or should we just get drunk, or what do you want to do, Anne-Marie? How about we bring up the chairman, the CEO. What's your title, Todd? The Grand Poobah of the International Tennis Hall of Fame, Todd Martin.
Turn that off. So, mission, pretty cool word. Pretty cool word. What we've seen is the International Tennis Hall of Fame's mission in full color tonight. Thank you all for being here. It's super inspiring, especially after a couple of years without being able to have you all here. I'd like to say a special thank you to Pat Vandermeer and all of Dennis's family and friends that are here. There's not a person here who's picked up a tennis racket over the years who hasn't benefited in some tangential way from Dennis's influence on the sport. It's okay, you can clap. Tonight's moving. Tonight's moving because it's the first go of a long weekend, maybe for our staff a little bit longer than for all of you, just so you know. But it's a moving night because of the message, because of the influence and the inspiration that all of these individuals and groups have provided all of us. I personally can't wait for tomorrow. We're doing things a bit differently. I think you'll all enjoy it. We will have lights. I'd also like to just make a comment about Conchita. Conchita and I'm probably older than her, but we're in the same era. And I used to watch Conchita and think to myself, how does she do that? I would never do that. And she's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I'm working for the Hall of Fame. So I would like to point out, though, Steve Simon's in the house, I think, still. There's got to be something illegal about coaching through a phone as the match is going on. Isn't it just between sets that the WTA allows coaching? I'd like to report Garbiñe Muguruza. The original 9. Only 7 of you are here, which is a lucky number. But for those of us who have benefited from our sport, who've grown from the lessons we can learn on the court and off the court, for the understanding and desire to make an impact, I thank you all. I have a daughter who's 12 on her way back from Virginia Beach at a dance competition. Her team won the championship, just so you know. But really and truly, Brett said it. You guys have made life better for all of us, and that's more important than what you'll be recognized for tomorrow night, and will live long, long beyond your years. Goran, the 3 miserable Gorans. Is he still even here? Are any of them still here, or has he left? You're right there. And you're right there, and you're right there. You're everywhere. So I congratulate 2 of the 3 Gorans for what you're going to experience this weekend. The one Goran that beat me 7 times, I will never forgive, okay? Joking aside, I really do hope that you understand the opportunity that we all have to celebrate history. The Hall of Fame celebrates the history that's been made. We also celebrate the history that's in the making. I think we are making it. Mike alluded to it earlier. And I would like to take just a couple extra moments, and I apologize for this. For those of you who come regularly, you know I get a bit verklempt sometimes. We have a staff who is just remarkable and have poured their hearts out for the Hall of Fame forever, but especially here over the last 6 months or so getting ready for this experience. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that my greatest belief in leadership is you got to know when to follow. And it's been a fun time following all of you. also thank our board. Mike made a reference to how easy the Board of Governors is to lead. There's 73 of them. I don't know anybody who's ever said it's easy to lead 73 people. However, as the person who works with you and leads the staff of the organization, I will tell you, I could not imagine more support than we all have. And I think that's a huge reason why we're here with smiles on our face, celebrating the sport, celebrating these wonderful inductees, and getting past some really difficult times. And finally, I'd like to thank our co-chairs, Wendy Holcomb and Carl Kawaja, John and Jody Arnhold, and those that didn't even know they were the co-chairs, Andrea and Eric Lisher. Thank you so much. And finally, mon ami, BNP Paribas. We say it every year. Thank you for your support of the Hall of Fame, which is out of this world and so loyal. But much more importantly, we're about the sport. You're about the sport. Thank you for leading our sport from the corporate side of things and making our sport better because of your commitment to it. Everybody, have a great weekend. We'll see you tomorrow. We're going to have a great time. Good night.